Today we're making the ultimate chocolate cake, a classic that never fails to bring a smile. It's the cake for birthdays, rainy days, and every celebration in between. There's just something magical about a rich, gooey chocolate cake, pure comfort and joy in every bite. And guess what? Making one from scratch is easier than you think. No fancy techniques, just simple steps and a bit of love. By the end, you'll have a cake you can be proud of. Soft, moist, and packed with chocolatey goodness. Ready to get started? Let's make some magic in the kitchen! Before we dive into baking, let's make sure we have everything we need right at our fingertips. Setting up your ingredients and tools ahead of time is the secret to a smooth, stress-free baking experience. This is what chefs call mise en place. It means everything in its place, and it's a game changer, especially for baking, where timing and accuracy matter. Let's start with the dry ingredients. You'll need 200 grams of plain flour, which gives our cake structure and softness. Next, 60 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder for that deep, rich chocolate flavor. Add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. These are our leavening agents, helping the cake rise and become light and fluffy. Don't forget a pinch of salt to balance the sweetness and enhance all the flavors. Finally, 250 grams of caster sugar will sweeten the cake and help create a tender crumb. Now let's gather the wet ingredients. These are just as important for creating a moist, delicious cake. You'll need 2 large eggs, which add richness and help bind everything together. Pour out 180 milliliters of milk. Whole milk is best for a creamy texture, but any milk will work. Measure 120 milliliters of vegetable oil, which keeps the cake extra moist and soft. And here's a little secret: 180 milliliters of hot water or freshly brewed coffee. The heat helps bloom the cocoa powder, making the chocolate flavor even more intense. If you're worried about the coffee, don't be. It won't make your cake taste like coffee at all. Instead, it deepens the chocolate notes, making your cake taste like it came from a fancy bakery. For tools, you'll need 2 large mixing bowls. One for dry ingredients and one for wet. Grab a sturdy whisk for mixing, a spatula for scraping every last bit of batter, and a set of measuring cups and spoons for accuracy. You'll also need 2 8-inch round cake tins, lined with baking paper to prevent sticking and ensure easy removal. Precision is key in baking, so use a digital kitchen scale if you have one. Level off your dry ingredients with the back of a knife for exact measurements. Even a small difference can change the texture of your cake. Take a moment to organize everything on your counter. Lay out your ingredients in the order you'll use them, and make sure your tools are within easy reach. This way you won't be scrambling to find something in the middle of mixing. With your ingredients measured and your tools ready, you're all set for a smooth baking process. Tie on your apron, clear your workspace, and let's move on to prepping our cake batter. Preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 degrees Celsius fan, or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Grease your cake tins with butter or oil, line the bottoms with baking paper, and grease again for good measure. In a large bowl, sift together flour, sugar, cocoa powder, baking powder, bicarb, and salt. Whisk well to remove lumps and add air. This makes your cake light and fluffy. Mixing the dry ingredients thoroughly ensures even flavor and rise. Take a moment to enjoy that chocolatey aroma. It's already promising. With tins prepped and dry mix ready, you're set for the next step. Simple, right? Let's keep going. In your second bowl, whisk together the eggs until frothy. Add milk and oil. Oil keeps the cake moist for days. Whisk until smooth and creamy. Now pour in the hot water or coffee. This intensifies the chocolate flavor. Whisk carefully. The mixture will look thin, but that's perfect. Keeping wet and dry ingredients separate helps control the mixing later. Both components are ready, time for the magic moment. Let's bring it all together. Make a well in your dry ingredients and pour in half the wet mixture. Gently mix, don't overdo it. Add the rest of the wet mix and stir just until you see no dry flour. The batter will be thin, exactly what you want for a moist cake. Divide the batter evenly between your 2 tins. Tap the tins gently on the counter to release air bubbles and level the surface. That's it, your batter is ready for the oven. Look at that glossy, chocolatey goodness. Let's bake. Now comes the moment of anticipation. Carefully place your prepared cake tins onto the middle rack of your preheated oven. Make sure to leave a little space between the pans so the heat can circulate evenly around each one. This small detail helps ensure that both cakes bake at the same rate, giving you perfectly even layers. Double-check that your oven is set to the correct temperature, and gently close the oven door to avoid disturbing the batter. Set your timer for 30 to 35 minutes depending on your oven and the size of your pans. Resist the urge to peek inside or open the oven door early. Doing so can cause your cakes to sink or bake unevenly. Trust the process and let the oven work its magic. If you have a glass oven door, you can watch the cakes rise and turn golden without letting any heat escape. As the minutes tick by, your kitchen will gradually fill with the irresistible aroma of baking cake. This is one of the best parts of baking, the sweet, warm scent that signals something delicious is on the way. It's a sign that your batter is transforming into a light, fluffy cake. Take a moment to enjoy the anticipation and let the smell build your excitement. When your timer goes off, it's time to check for doneness. Grab a clean skewer or toothpick and gently insert it into the very center of each cake. This is the most reliable way to make sure your cakes are baked all the way through. If the skewer comes out clean or with just a few moist crumbs clinging to it, your cakes are ready. If you see any wet batter, pop the tins back in the oven for a few more minutes and test again. Remember, every oven is a little different, so don't worry if your cakes need a bit more time. If your cakes aren't quite done, set the timer for an additional 2 to 3 minutes and check again. It's better to check frequently at this stage than to risk overbaking. The goal is a moist, tender crumb, so keep a close eye as you finish baking. Once your cakes are perfectly baked, carefully remove the tins from the oven using oven mitts. Place them on a wire rack or heat-proof surface and let them cool in their tins for 10 to 15 minutes. This short resting period is crucial. It allows the cakes to firm up and makes them much easier to handle. Allowing the cakes to cool in their tins helps prevent them from breaking or crumbling when you remove them. The structure sets as they cool, locking in moisture and flavor. Don't rush this step, even if you're eager to see your finished cakes. Patience is key here. Waiting just a little longer ensures your cakes will come out beautifully. Use this time to tidy up your workspace or prepare your icing. The anticipation will make the final result even sweeter. Once the cakes have cooled slightly, you'll be ready to gently remove them from their tins and let them cool completely before icing. You're almost at the finish line. Get ready to add the final touches and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Once your cake has finished baking, it's important to let it cool in the pan for about 10 to 15 minutes. This resting period allows the cake to firm up slightly, making it less likely to break apart when you remove it. After this short cooling time, gently run a thin, sharp knife around the edges of the cake pan. This helps loosen the cake from the sides, ensuring a clean release and preventing any sticking that could tear the delicate edges. Next, carefully turn the cakes out onto a wire rack. The wire rack is essential because it allows air to circulate all around the cake, cooling it evenly and preventing the bottom from becoming soggy. If you're working with multiple layers, make sure to handle each one gently to avoid cracks or breakage. While the cake is still warm, peel off the baking paper or parchment. Doing this while the cake is warm makes it much easier, as the paper will come away cleanly without pulling off any of the tender crumb. If you wait until the cake is completely cool, the paper might stick and tear the surface. Now let the cakes cool completely on the rack. This step is crucial. If you try to ice the cake while it's still warm, the icing will melt and slide right off, making a mess and ruining your hard work. Patience here pays off, as a fully cooled cake will hold the icing beautifully and give you a professional finish. For a simple yet decadent icing, make a chocolate ganache by melting dark chocolate with a splash of cream or milk. Heat the cream just until it begins to simmer, then pour it over chopped chocolate. Let it sit for a minute, then stir until smooth and glossy. This ganache is rich, silky, and perfect for spreading or pouring over your cake. Once your cake layers are completely cool, place the first layer on a serving plate or cake stand. Spoon a generous amount of ganache onto the surface, then use a spatula to spread it evenly, right to the edges. This layer of icing not only adds flavor, but also helps hold the layers together. Gently place the second cake layer on top, aligning it carefully so the sides are even. Press down lightly to secure the layers together, but be careful not to squish the cake. Now, ice the top and sides of the cake with the remaining ganache. Use a spatula to swirl the icing for a rustic, homemade look, or smooth it out for a more polished finish. Don't worry about perfection. Those swirls and swoops add character and charm. For a finishing touch, sprinkle chocolate shavings, curls, or even a handful of fresh berries on top. These simple decorations add color, texture, and a touch of elegance, making your cake look as good as it tastes. When it's time to serve, use a sharp knife dipped in hot water and wiped dry between slices. This little trick ensures each piece comes out clean and neat, with beautiful layers and minimal crumbs. If you have any leftovers, store them in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 2 days, or in the fridge for longer freshness. Proper storage keeps the cake moist and delicious, so you can enjoy it for days to come. Now all that's left is to slice, serve, and savor your homemade chocolate cake. Whether you're sharing it with friends, family, or simply treating yourself, take a moment to appreciate your baking skills and enjoy every bite of your delicious creation. You did it! A gorgeous homemade chocolate cake. Simple ingredients, a few steps, and a lot of joy. Baking is about sharing and creating memories, not perfection. Now you've got a go-to recipe for any occasion. If you enjoyed this, give us a like, share, and subscribe for more delicious recipes. Thanks for baking along. Enjoy every bite. Happy baking, and see you next time.